Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive, where we take cutting-edge research and kind of break it down into, what really matters for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. Get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, and today we're diving into a paper that really grabbed our attention called AI Native Memory 2.0. Second Me.
Definitely a catchy title.
It is, yeah, and I think it speaks to this idea of, we're all dealing with this deluge of information, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely drowning in it sometimes.
Exactly, and this paper proposes this fascinating solution, which is essentially an AI-powered system for managing your personal memory.
So like a supercharged digital brain, basically.
Yeah, kind of like that. And what's really intriguing is that it's built using these large language models, or LLMs, which are all the rage these days.
Yeah, they're really changing the game in a lot of ways.
Right, and the idea here is to go beyond just storing data. It's about actually understanding that data and using it to make our online interactions smoother, less repetitive, more efficient.
So like instead of having to constantly re-enter the same information or dig through old emails to find what you need, this system would just kind of know what you're looking for and serve it up.
Exactly, and what's really cool is that they've actually open sourced the deployment system on GitHub, so anyone who's tech savvy can actually go and check it out and see how it works.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting from a research perspective too.
Yeah, I mean, from a purely academic standpoint, what's so compelling about this paper is how it addresses this fundamental challenge in human-computer interaction, which is, this constant need to re-engage with information that we've already encountered before. Right?
It's like we're stuck in this loop of repeating ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And the authors aren't just proposing, incremental improvements to existing tools like autofill or something. They're really talking about a paradigm shift here towards an AI that deeply understands and utilizes your personal context.
Right. So it's not just about remembering your passwords. It's about remembering everything you've ever done online and using that to anticipate your needs.
Exactly. And for the average user, that could mean less time spent filling out forms, less time recalling details, less time just wrestling with the digital world in general.
Right. It's like having a personal assistant that knows you better than you know yourself.
And potentially freeing up, those valuable cognitive resources that we're all trying to preserve.
Exactly. So let's really dig into what Second Me is all about.
Okay.
Sounds good. The paper does a really great job of outlining their approach.
Yeah.
They start by highlighting this problem that I think we all experience, which is just the sheer redundancy of our online interactions.
Yeah, you're constantly re-entering the same information, re-explaining your preferences.
Exactly. And existing tools are, they're pretty basic.
Yeah, they only scratch the surface.
Right. But the authors argue that these LLMs, these large language models, offer a chance to create something that's genuinely AI native, this Second Me, which would be this adaptive context-aware assistant that uses the LLM's internal understanding to structure and retrieve your knowledge in a really intelligent way.
So it's almost like the LLM is learning how you think and then using that to organize your memories.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And they've even explored different training methods and developed their own automated way to evaluate how well it works, which is a pretty novel contribution in itself.
Oh, wow. So they're not just relying on existing benchmarks. They're actually creating their own ways to measure the effectiveness of this system.
Exactly. And for you, the listener, the potential here is huge.
Yeah.
Imagine having this personal AI that reduces your mental clutter, auto completes tasks, keeps the context of your interactions alive, all while getting smarter over time.
That's a pretty compelling vision.
It is, yeah. And to really appreciate the advancements here, I think it's helpful to understand the groundwork that led to Second Me.
Yeah, definitely context is key.
Right. So the authors are building upon their earlier research on something called the Large Personal Model, or LPM 1.0.
Okay, so this is like the precursor to Second Me.
Exactly. And the core idea there was to have this AI system that's dedicated to the individual user acting as a context provider.
So rather than having a general purpose AI that's trying to serve everyone, they're focusing on creating an AI that's specifically tailored to you.
Exactly. And LPM 1.0 introduced this 3-layer architecture for personal memory.
Okay, so break that down for me.
Sure. So think of it like this. The first layer is all your raw data, your documents, your emails, your notes, anything you've created or interacted with online.
Okay, so just the raw digital footprint of your life.
Right. And then the second layer creates natural language summaries of that data, kind of distilling it down into something that's more easily understood by the AI.
So like creating a Cliff's Notes version of your digital life.
Yeah, exactly. And then the third layer, the AI native memory, actually encodes this understanding within the model's parameters.
So this is where the LLM really comes into play, taking those summaries and integrating them into its own internal representation of the world.
Right. And what they realized was that simply feeding massive amounts of text into a general purpose LLM wasn't the most effective way to handle these nuanced personal memory tasks.
So it's not just about the quantity of data, it's about how that data is structured and understood.
Exactly. And that's where Second Me comes in. It refines this architecture by more tightly integrating these layers.
Okay, so how does it do that?
Well, now your raw data and the natural language summaries provide even richer context for that AI native memory.
So it's like giving the LLM a more complete picture of who you are and what you've done.
Exactly. And importantly, the L2 layer's role has evolved. It now acts more as an orchestrator, knowing when to directly assist you and when to call upon other specialized AI models for more complex tasks.
So it's like a conductor leading an orchestra, AI tools all working together to serve your needs.
Yeah, that's a really great analogy. And the fact that they've automated the entire training process is a significant step towards making this technology scalable and accessible.
So this isn't just a research project that's stuck in a lab. They're actually thinking about how to make this something that real people can use.
Right, exactly. And this is where it gets fascinating for anyone who's interested in the nuts and bolts of machine learning.
Let's get technical.
Yeah, so they've designed their L2 model to be really smart about how it handles tasks.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So for straightforward requests, it can assist you directly using its own internal memory. Like if you ask it, what was the name of that restaurant I went to last week? It can probably just pull that information up from its own knowledge base.
Right. So for simple stuff, it doesn't need to go searching the web or anything like that.
Exactly. But if you need more in-depth reasoning or external information, it knows how to collaborate with other general purpose LLMs, all while keeping your personal context front and center.
So it's like it knows its own limitations and when to call for backup.
Exactly. And for you, the user, this means a system that's both deeply personal and capable of leveraging the broader AI landscape.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And they've identified 3 key ways that you as a user would interact with this system.
Okay, I'm listening.
First is memory Q&A, where you can ask it questions about your own life, or even have it act as a proxy for you in certain interactions.
So like if I can't remember the details of a meeting I had last month, I could just ask Second Me and it would fill me in.
Exactly. Or if you're interacting with a company and you don't want to go through the hassle of explaining your whole situation again, you could have Second Me handle it for you.
Oh, wow. That would be amazing.
Right. And the second way you'd interact with it is through context enhancement.
Okay. What is that?
So that's where it enriches your queries to other AI models with your personal background. So if you're asking a general purpose LLM a question, it can provide that LLM with additional context based on your specific history and preferences.
So it's like giving the other AI a crash course on you before you start talking to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the third way is context critic, where it can provide feedback on information you receive based on your unique perspective.
So it's like having a personal fact checker that's always on duty.
Right. And what's really impressive is their training approach. They prioritize your privacy by keeping your data localized. They use pre-trained LLMs as a starting point, and then employ this automated pipeline to extract key information from your data synthesized memory data. Using some really interesting techniques, generate training data for those context enhancement and critique tasks, rigorously filter this data, and then fine-tune the model using a method called parameter-efficient fine-tuning on a specific language model.
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's all designed to create this highly personalized and effective AI memory system.
And they even experimented with different chain of thought styles, which is how the AI reasons through problems, right?
Exactly. And they found that a more detailed reasoning process significantly improved performance.
So it's not just about giving the AI the right information, it's about teaching it how to think effectively.
Right. And then they also use direct preference optimization, which is really interesting.
Okay, what is that?
So it's not about teaching the AI new facts, but rather fine-tuning its understanding of your preferences based on your data.
So it's like taking the AI's knowledge base and then tailoring it to your specific tastes.
Exactly. And that's a really powerful way to personalize the AI.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And the way they evaluated Second Me is also really important. They move beyond these simple accuracy metrics to assess things like helpfulness, completeness, and even how well it embodies your persona when answering questions on your behalf.
So they're not just looking at whether the AI is spitting out the right answers, they're also looking at how it's presenting those answers and whether it's doing so in a way that's consistent with your personality.
Exactly. And for the context enhancement and critique tasks, they used multi-level scoring to get a more nuanced understanding of the quality of the generated responses.
So they're really trying to capture the full spectrum of what makes a good response, and not just whether it's technically correct, but also whether it's helpful, insightful, and so on.
Right, and their results clearly demonstrate the effectiveness of their approach, particularly the benefits of that more detailed reasoning process and the preference optimization.
So all that hard work paid off.
Yeah, it seems like it. And they did encounter an interesting issue in the context enhancement evaluation, where the model would sometimes include helpful but unreferenced information, which the automated metrics penalized.
Oh, so it was like the AI was being too helpful almost.
Yeah, kind of. And it highlights this persistent challenge in AI evaluation, where sometimes what's practically useful isn't perfectly aligned with strict accuracy based on the training data.
Right. It's like sometimes the AI comes up with a solution that's technically correct, but not actually helpful in the real world.
Exactly. And interestingly, their human evaluations showed even higher scores, suggesting that current automated metrics may not fully capture the value of a system like Second Me.
So it's like the AI is doing things that are beneficial to users, but that we don't yet have the tools to measure effectively.
Right. And they also recognized a bias in their initial evaluation setup towards longer responses and proactively refined their prompts to address this, demonstrating a really rigorous approach to ensuring fair and accurate assessment.
So they're really trying to be as objective as possible in their evaluation, which is important.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, the practical implications of all this research could be pretty significant.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So think about the sheer amount of time you spend every day just recalling and re-entering basic information online.
It's a lot.
It is. And Second Me is aiming to be this always-on intelligent assistant that handles a lot of that behind the scenes, making your digital interactions far more efficient.
So like a digital guardian angel that's always looking out for you.
Yeah, kind of. And imagine browsing the web and having forms filled out automatically with contextually relevant information without you having to do anything.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Right. Or when you're interacting with a chatbot or other AI, it already has this deep understanding of your past conversations and preferences.
So it's like every interaction you have online is personalized to you.
Exactly. And they even touch on more advanced applications, like helping you make better decisions by providing instant access to your personal knowledge, and the context critic acting as a personalized filter and sounding board for the information you encounter.
So it's not just about making things easier, it's about actually helping you make better choices.
Exactly. And the fact that they've open sourced the project on GitHub is a real boon for the research community.
Yeah, that's huge. It means that other researchers can build upon their work and potentially accelerate the development of this technology.
Right. And from a historical perspective, from an academic standpoint, this work sits squarely within the ongoing evolution of personal information management.
Yeah, definitely. We've gone from, simple analog tools to increasingly sophisticated digital systems.
Exactly. And Second Me represents a notable advancement by leveraging the power of large language models to move beyond mere storage and retrieval towards genuine cognitive augmentation.
So it's not just about remembering things, it's about actually enhancing our ability to think and process information.
Right. And the concept of memory offloading has been around for a while, but Second Me aims for a much more proactive and context-aware approach, actively participating in your digital life.
So it's not just a passive repository of information, it's an active agent that's working with you.
Exactly. And it builds upon previous research in retrieval augmented generation, acknowledging the limitations of those earlier methods in achieving true personalization and deep knowledge integration.
So they're not just coming out of nowhere, they're building upon a foundation of existing research.
Right. And as we discussed, their own earlier work with LPM 1.0 provided the initial architectural blueprint that Second Me significantly improves upon.
So it's like they're iterating and refining their ideas over time.
Exactly. And for you to really grasp the key takeaways here, it's the combination of this AI native memory encoded within the LLM that carefully designed three-layer architecture that allows for deep contextual understanding and that fully automated training pipeline that promises to make personalized AI memory a real possibility for individuals.
So it's not just one thing, it's the confluence of all these different advancements that makes second me so compelling.
Right. And plus the shift in focus from just executing tasks to being a true context provider that anticipates your needs and enriches your interactions is a fundamental change.
Yeah, it's like moving from a tool to a partner.
Exactly. And the emphasis they put on chain of thought reasoning and direct preference optimization isn't just about achieving better benchmark scores. It's about building an AI that thinks and aligns with your preferences in a more human-like way.
So it's not just about being smart. It's about being smart in a way that's compatible with how humans think.
Exactly. And ultimately, it's about creating a user-centric AI that feels like a genuine extension of your own mind in the digital realm.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
It is, and the potential impact on personal productivity alone is substantial.
Yeah, just think about all the time we waste on these menial digital tasks.
Right, and beyond mere convenience, the context critic function could be a valuable tool for navigating the overwhelming amount of information we encounter daily.
It's like having a personal BS detector that's always running in the background.
Exactly, and while some of the more futuristic applications they mentioned, like networked intelligence, are still in the realm of speculation, they hint at the transformative potential of truly personalized AI.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about where this technology could lead.
It is. So now for our Novel Notions segment, where we consider some potential future research directions sparked by this paper.
Ooh, I always love this part.
Given Second Me's focus on understanding and utilizing your personal context, what if researchers explored the possibility of emotional resonance parameterization within that L2 layer?
I think I like where you're going with this.
So beyond just factual recall and preference learning, could we develop methods for Second Me to also understand and remember the emotional tones associated with your past experiences?
So it would not only remember what you did, but also how you felt about it.
Exactly. And imagine it not only reminding you about a past project, but also subtly adjusting its communication style based on whether your notes from that time were stressed or optimistic.
Oh, wow. So it would be like it's picking up on your emotional cues and responding accordingly.
Exactly. And this would likely require new approaches to training, perhaps incorporating sentiment analysis and user-defined emotional tags linked to their data.
So it's like teaching the AI to be emotionally intelligent.
Right, and considering the progress in emotion AI and the increasing ability of LLMs to understand and generate text with different emotional nuances, this feels like a really compelling area for future investigation.
Yeah, it would be amazing to have an AI that could not only understand, but also empathize with us.
Right, an emotionally attuned second me could potentially offer a much more supportive and well-rounded personal AI experience.
Definitely something to think about. And building on their concept of a multi-agent framework, here's another novel notion to consider. What if future research focused on creating a cognitive conflict resolution module integrated into Second Me?
Okay, tell me more.
So expanding on the context critic functionality, imagine multiple instances of your second me, each potentially trained on slightly different subsets or with different weightings of your personal data, engaging in internal discussions or perspective-taking exercises when you're facing a complex decision.
So it's like having a panel of experts in your head all weighing in on the best course of action.
Exactly. And they could be programmed with specific communication protocols and metrics to assess the quality of this internal deliberation.
So it's like creating a mini society of AIs within your own mind.
Yeah, and this idea draws inspiration from ensemble methods in machine learning, where combining the outputs of multiple models often leads to more robust results, and also from psychological research, highlighting the benefits of considering diverse viewpoints before making a decision.
So it's like getting the best of both worlds, the computational power of AI and the wisdom of diverse human perspectives.
Exactly. And for instance, one second me instance might heavily weigh past negative experiences while another emphasizes past successes when evaluating a potential new opportunity.
So it's like having a devil's advocate and an optimist all rolled into one.
Right. And this is purely speculative, of course, and ensuring these internal debates are productive and not simply confusing would be a significant research challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy problem to solve.
But if successful, it could provide a powerful tool for personal decision support, helping you to identify potential biases and blind spots in your own thinking.
So it's like having an AI therapist that helps you work through your own cognitive biases.
Exactly.
Those are some really thought-provoking ideas.
I think so too.
So to sum up our deep dive into AI native memory 2.0, Second Me. This paper presents a really innovative vision for the future of how we interact with our digital world.
Definitely pushing the boundaries.
By leveraging large language models to create an intelligent and context-aware personal memory system, it has the potential to significantly streamline our online lives and free up our cognitive resources for more important things.
Yeah, it's like giving our brains an upgrade.
Exactly. And we definitely encourage you to explore the open-sourced project on GitHub. You'll find a link in the description.
Yes, please do. It's fascinating stuff.
It really prompts you to consider the evolving relationship between humans and AI, and how these technologies could fundamentally reshape how we manage our personal knowledge and even our thinking processes.
It's like we're on the cusp of a new era of human cognition.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you later, folks.
Bye.